Previously on Foursquare Sports, someone from this panel called their shot about the Texas A&M Miami game. Listen carefully.
I also could see Miami possibly upsetting A&M because I've said it, like me and John have said it, that we both picked Miami to win it all. I have changed my mind, and I think that Indiana's going to win it all, but I wouldn't be surprised if Miami makes a little bit of a run there.
Jake Hogger and Alec Nava were blanked out by the college football playoff bracket for this, but Kevin Zelos did get it right that Miami did beat Texas A&M in the first round by a score of 10-3 in what was a lackluster game. Congratulations, Kev. You're a genius.
You're dang right I am.
Anyway, we got a jam-packed show. We got an award ceremony. We got a lot of sports to get into. I'm in a different location because I've been doing a lot of knickknacks as far as organized stuff. But let's do the show. Let's do it.
I'm in control of you.
I don't care.
Thank you.
This frog can kill you.
Am I missing something here? Oh, wait, there it is. Guarantee!
Well, we're back again, and we're going to be back consistently. The last episode of Foursquare Sports for 2025. This is episode number 27, Turn the Page. And it's perfectly fitting for this occasion. We've been doing shows for over a year, but in 2024, we started doing shows late, so I didn't really appreciate it as much. But not going to say we did for a whole calendar year. Matt Sirianni, Kevin Zelos, John Mulch. Gentlemen, how are you?
Feeling great, Matt. Excited to do the show as always with you guys. It's been too long. I know we took it like a break within the break. I think like a few weeks ago when we were saying we're going to do longer. But final show of the year. I'm excited for it and couldn't have asked for a better year with you three guys.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, this year, I think you said it as perfectly as I could say it. Like, this has been one hell of a year, and I owe it to the three of you. So, enough being sentimental. That's for the end of the show. We got to get into actual sports talk. We're going to start off with college football. And I think one thing I can say is we had a couple upsets. You know, Kevin mentioned it before. You know, Miami upsetting Texas A&M in a very lousy game. 4 missed field goals early on. Both offenses couldn't move the ball consistently. Texas A&M, I guess they kind of limped into the playoffs because they lost that game to Texas before the SEC championship game, and they couldn't play in the SEC championship game in Atlanta. And then they put this almost like a dud against Miami in the first round. And now they're out. A team that was once unbeaten and looked really strong kind of played with their food a little bit, and now they're not even making it to the Sugar Bowl. Kev, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, you said it, man. I mean, overall, it was kind of like a lousy game, like you said. All those missed field goals. I think it was like 3 missed field goals by A&M, 1 by Miami. Yeah. And Miami, I give credit to both Miami and A&M's defense. They both played really good, better than I expected. But all it took was that one score by Miami, that one touchdown that they got. And it ended up being a closer game than I think any of us really thought, but also a lower scoring game than any of us would have thought. But like I said, like when I did my predictions, I mean, me and John kind of saw this coming like early on in the season, what Miami was able to do and how they were able to get him, but Notre Dame didn't. And I think that win against Notre Dame, I think kind of told me that like they were legit as well. And for me, the reason why I kind of called that upset over A&M is because A&M, like as good as they may have been, like that loss against Texas. I mean, like I felt like if they would have beat Texas, I would have had a different way of thinking about them. But I'm like, I don't know if I really trust A&M because of games like that. But with Miami, I think that they do have the personnel and the veteran leadership with Carson Beck as their quarterback, who's been in these situations before. And I think they could go on a run. Again, them versus Ohio State next, that's going to be a tricky one. But I did like what I saw out of Miami. But overall, I thought it was a closer game, but also, like you said, also kind of a lousy one.
And, John, I'm going to come to you next because one thing that was a big debate before going into the playoff was, did the committee make the right choice, putting in Miami over Notre Dame? And I think this win absolutely validated that they did indeed make the right decision.
Well, I've been shouting Miami's name since the beginning of the season, as you guys know. I mentioned them while we were talking about the ACC tournament controversy for the championship.
Yep.
I said that they even had a chance to get in outside of not even playing in that championship. I think the committee gives too much of a nod to championships, and we're starting to see that with teams that are winning the championships and then losing as soon as they get into the playoffs. But now that we have JMU and these Power 5 teams out of the way, I think the playoffs really begin in earnest now in the second round.
One thing you did mention was James Madison getting blown out and also Tulane getting blown out. These are the two Group of 5 conference champions that got in over teams like Duke. And I think that was what we were kind of hoping. We were waiting for some competition. I was expecting James Madison to put up a bigger fight than they did. And yeah, they did cover -21. They did cover, but Oregon called the dogs off late in the fourth quarter, and James Madison basically just put on points where it didn't matter. So they covered, but it wasn't really a pretty cover. And Tulane, they ran into a buzzsaw of a pissed-off Ole Miss team who was upset that Lane Kiffin left to go to LSU. So Ole Miss took that as a statement game. Okay, we're going to show Lane Kiffin what he's missing out on. And they pounded Tulane. It wasn't even close. And, Alec, I know despite the Alabama game and Oklahoma game being close, Alabama won by 10, but why do we even have to go, if these Group of 5 conference champions are struggling, what does that even mean? Does it make sense to put these Group of 5 conference champions in if they're just going to get blown out like this? Because this isn't the first time. Boise State got blown out last year, too.
That's another point, but conference representation is what you want to see if you're the NCAA. At the bigger fights that Tulane and James Madison did you want to expect them from. James Madison did put up some points in the second half. That was when the game was out of reach. But the financial gap between mid-majors and the richest power conference programs has grown immensely in the last 15 years or so. With the upward stream of talent in the transfers and the NIL era, it's going to be much harder for a Group of 5 team to hint at elite play, like what you saw from Boise State last year, TCU 2 years ago, and Utah. When Boise State, TCU, and Utah, they were much better in the late 2000s. But that said, JMU, you could argue they could be favorites over Duke, who won the ACC based on a tiebreaker that was lost, I believe, from Miami. And I still don't get why Miami was not in the ACC championship game. Tiebreaker rules suck. But JMU is built to continue to play at a high level within the Sun Belt. It's going to be interesting what they do with Billy Napier as their new head coach. Tulane, they were outmatched at the very start, but these two results are the results that speak for itself. And this isn't because simply because of the structure. This was by design from the NCAA. The Group of 5 teams were much, much lower compared to the Power 4 conferences, and it's more because of the structure that the NCAA put. So it's harder for a Group of 5 team today to beat a Power 4 conference team.
One thing you said that I think was really on point. Group of 5 conferences or lower tier conferences, I kind of compare this to college basketball almost. We all love March Madness and all these upset Cinderella stories. It's going to be harder in the years going forward for someone from the Southland Conference to beat a Power 4 conference team. It applies in college basketball. It'll apply in college football because the resources that these lower conferences are getting is not as good, especially with the NIL, like Alex said, and also just publicity that they're going to get. I mean, listen, when McNeese won against Clemson, they lost their coach immediately after McNeese was eliminated from March Madness. So this, again, just emphasizes that while we want to see underdogs thrive and we want to see upsets and we want to see Cinderella stories, it's going to be harder because resources are scarce.
Yeah, and also look at this for this matter. High Point, my alma mater. When High Point made it to March Madness, they lost their head coach, Alan Huss.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good point. John, you wanted to say something?
There's a really easy way to fix the NCAA and the way they do playoffs, and that is to maintain the 12-team playoff for the Power Four conferences, and then everybody else, you design an NIT type tournament where you get 32 teams. You keep the bowl games alive, and everybody keeps going. But that would require changing the portal window. The coach firing carousel needs to change. Everything needs to be streamlined and timed out so that you don't have all this drama and all this idiosyncrasies going down the wire with playoffs.
So in other words, ACC, Big 10, Big 12, and SEC on one playoff, and then you have the other the group of 5 in the NIT style of college football playoff in their own 12-team bracket.
I'm not sticking my nose up at that. I actually think it's a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we need balance. If you want to create fair opportunity for these lower conferences, you got to find some way to be creative. And I think this is the only way you can be creative. And,
that's the only way you get BYU and Notre Dame back in.
Right, that's true, 100%. Oh man, and also if you're Samantha Myers, while you're losing in the fantasy championship, you are happy about one thing, and that's Alabama did knock off Oklahoma in the first round of the college football playoff. Oklahoma was up 17-0, and at one point 17-7 going into the half, and then Ty Simpson and the Alabama offense turned it on. They played well. Oklahoma had to cut it to 7. They missed 2 field goals in the final 5 minutes. And while Oklahoma is traditionally, like, their defense was really good this year, but their offense needed to step up this year and in this game, and it did not happen. And I think that's the biggest like, that was a way to start. That was one hell of a way to start the playoffs. But Oklahoma, I think they owned Alabama previously. Ever since they came to the SEC, they've dominated Alabama, which is kind of a shocker to say the least. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah. All right. Are you ready for this stat?
Yes.
Teams that have had a 17-point lead in the CFP are 28-2 all time. Who has the 2 losses? Oklahoma.
Wow.
They led 31-14 against Georgia in the Rose Bowl in 2018. Lost in double overtime on Sony Michel's walk-off touchdown.
Right.
Up 17-0 in this game. Lost 34-24. Didn't help that John Mateer was playing through an injury and it was hampering him. Defense can only do so much, and your kicker, who has been electric all season long, missing 2 field goals. Ouch! I doubt Oklahoma was going to make a deep run anyway, but when their season ended, it was always going to be the offense that was going to be the primary reason. And Brent Venables is going to have a lot of work cut out for him. You cannot run it back with the same offense as you did this season. You need to start recruiting immediately for more offensive talent, whether it be high school recruits or even for the transfer portal. But start looking at high school, then the transfer portal. Big decisions need to come.
Yeah, and Oklahoma, they probably expected to at least win this one in a tight one. The fact they lost the way they did in front of their home crowd in Norman is a shocker. And Alabama was limping coming into the playoffs. They got beaten badly in the SEC championship game. They barely got by in the Iron Bowl. They barely got past South Carolina. Remember that game? Like, they really were playing on edge for the latter part of the season. And Ty Simpson was kind of reeling after his mother passed away due to cancer. But it seemed like he picked up the pace. He got back. He mentally got back to where he needed to be, and now they're in the Rose Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
The prestigious Rose Bowl game, and who are they facing? The number 1 team in the country, the Indiana Hoosiers.
Yeah, your Big Ten championship pick.
My Big Ten champions.
That's right.
Attaboys.
Give me the roses while you still can. But no, we do have 4 interesting matchups that we are going to predict as we speak right now. And I think that we are in for a good quarterfinal. If last year's quarterfinal was an indication, and remember this, last year in the quarterfinals, the top 4 seeds went down. 5, 6, 7, 8 made it to the semifinals last year. So we're gonna go over the matchups right now, and we're gonna see who comes out on top. It doesn't have to be unanimous. We can all be different on our opinions, and we'll see how this goes. So I mentioned the Rose Bowl, Alabama, Indiana, in the Rose Bowl. Fernando Mendoza on a big stage. Alec, who do you have?
I'm just, I predicted Indiana to win the national championship, and I'm sticking with that course. Alabama may have won against Oklahoma, but this will be an even bigger test for them. The two defenses are going to be evenly matched. But when it comes to the upcoming draft, I prefer Fernando Mendoza in comparison to Ty Simpson. The difference is going to be in quarterback play, and I trust Mendoza more.
I'm fine with that. John, what do you think?
I like Bama.
Kevin?
I spent the last 2 weeks studying Indiana and their record, and I don't like who they played and who they won. I don't believe that they can stand up against an SEC defense and win against Bama.
Interesting. Kevin, where do you reach on this?
Yeah, I'm of the same opinion as Alec. I remember I did change my mind to going from Miami to Indiana to win it all, so I'm still gonna stick by that too. I think Indiana's gonna win this game, but I do expect Alabama to put up a good fight against Indiana. I think it's gonna be a true challenge, but I still think Indiana's gonna win.
And mind you, about Indiana's record, they did beat number 9 at the time, Illinois, number 3 at the time, Oregon, and in the Big Ten championship, number 1, Ohio State, for those wondering, by the way.
Defending national champions.
For defending national champions.
So I'm going to make it 3 out of 4 here. I'm going to say Indiana wins. I think Alabama will absolutely keep it close because this team is battle tested. Even with Kalen DeBoer, I think that Ty Simpson finally got comfortable. He got back to where he needed to be mentally. I think he'll play a good game. But I think Indiana's defense is really good. And I think that's going to be the biggest problem for Ty Simpson.
Yeah.
On New Year's Eve, we have the Cotton Bowl. Miami going against Ohio State, the defending national champions. Ohio State's a 9.5-point favorite in this one. It's Kevin, I'm going to come to you first because at one point you had these two in the championship. Now they're facing each other.
I did. That's correct. And this one, I think it's a little bit. I'm a little torn on this one because on one hand, Ohio State, I think they've been consistent pretty much the entire year. Besides that game against Indiana, but Miami, me and John have always talked about them, and I would be surprised if Ohio State is a little rattled from their last game against Indiana, and Miami really takes advantage of that and possibly does something that I don't think anyone expected them to do and upset Ohio State. But I don't think that happens here. I do think Ohio State barely wins. But again, I wouldn't be surprised if Miami does throw Ohio State off their game a little bit because Ohio State, like that last game, they could be a little rattled heading into it. It might look a little ugly at first, but I think Ohio State storms back, and I think they eventually win by just a few points.
All right. Alec?
Miami was going to keep this close with how they're stepping up their defense as of late. Have you seen how they played against Texas A&M? I think it's going to beat that type of game. But we know where the best defense in college football resides. Arvell Reese and Caleb Downs are projected early first-round picks for a reason. And we could be seeing the two of them possibly picked in the top 5 with the way things are going. Where they end up is TBD. But that's the type of defense Ohio State has. Ohio State wins, goes to the semifinals.
All right, John?
Yeah, I'm with Alec on this one. I think Miami runs into a buzzsaw and Ohio State wins by at least 2 touchdowns. I don't think it's even close.
I'm going to agree with that. I think that Ohio State, being the championship pedigree that they have, I think Ryan Day and his team are going to be ready. Julian Sainz probably going to have a 300-yard passing day. I think Jeremiah Smith's going to probably showcase his talent and why he's one of the top receivers in the draft come 2026. And I think Ohio State takes care of business easily. Next up in the Sugar Bowl, we have Ole Miss and Georgia. 2 SEC teams going at it. Ole Miss had their get-right game mentally when it came to playing Tulane, but this is a different animal here. This is Georgia team that is ranked third in the country, and Georgia is a 6.5-point favorite in this one. And they lost in the Sugar Bowl last year, Georgia, but they did not have Carson Beck healthy that game. Now they have Gunnar Stockton. John, where do you lean?
This one isn't close for me. I think Ole Miss got their energy out against Tulane. I think Georgia is playing for the next round, and I really see them beating Ole Miss by at least 10.
All right, Kevin.
Yeah, I'm of the same way. I mean, these two teams have played each other before, and Georgia came out on top. But Ole Miss, like John said, they got themselves like their pound of flesh against Tulane and got themselves really revved up. But against this Georgia team that has been there, done that before, and has this pedigree of like doing well in the playoffs every single year, I don't expect this. I do expect this to be any single different. So I do think Georgia wins fairly easily.
Okay, Alec.
Same boat here. I think Ole Miss, they did expend their energy against Tulane. Revenge game or the first matchup in your dreams, they say. Well, no shade to Tulane. They had a magical season, but it's the punishment that group of 5 teams have to suffer when they have a successful season. Coaches leave for bigger opportunities, and that's what's going to happen with John Summerall going to Florida.
Yep.
Georgia, by the way, has a championship pedigree, and I expect that they will continue to do that as they beat up on Ole Miss by at least 2 scores.
Conference matchup, you figure things will be closer, but I don't think in this case. I think Georgia has the pedigree. I think they run rampant on Ole Miss. And then last but not least, and this is probably going to be the best game of the quarterfinals, the Oregon Ducks versus the Texas Tech Red Raiders, a team that is so publicly known for having the billion-dollar AD, a phenomenal defense. They come in as the betting underdog, a 1.5-point underdog against Oregon in the Orange Bowl. Really, really enticing because I would take Texas Tech in a heartbeat because of how good their defense is. But Oregon's got a really electric offense, and they showcased that in the first round. John, I'm curious what you think about this.
I didn't even think about this one. I love that people keep pointing to how electric Oregon was, but that was against a JMU defense. And I think, you have everybody playing for Texas Tech. That is a insane money line that they put on their defense. And I don't understand why Texas Tech I don't understand why Texas Tech isn't favored more. So I like Texas. I'm on the West Coast. I like the Ducks, but I don't see them getting past this game.
All right, Kevin, what do you think?
This one's an interesting one because on one hand, you have an Oregon Ducks team that, like you said, their offense has been electric pretty much all year. And again, just like Georgia, like they've been here, done that before in the playoffs, like consistently. But every single year, what happens in true Oregon fashion is that they get to a point where they get into the playoffs and then they get kind of embarrassed. Maybe the first or second round. It happened last year. And this could be another year of just that because Texas Tech is first time they've been in this position in a long time because of the oil money that they are playing and they've invested into that defense. So I do expect that to come into play here. And I think this Tech team is for real. And I do think that they do have what it takes to take down a team like Oregon, despite the fact that Oregon has been there more times than Tech has. But Tech, I think this is a year where they showcase what they can do, especially when they've had the proper and expended resources. So I think that Tech wins this pretty easily.
Alec?
I would not be surprised if either result happens. But let me break this down. In the last 3 years, Oregon has combined 37-4. The losses have come to a national champion, Ohio State, a national finalist twice to Washington, and the current unbeaten team, Indiana, this year. The difference between JMU and Texas Tech is that Texas Tech is a legitimate threat among the top teams in the NCAA, and JMU is cursed by being a group of 5 team. So they have all the disadvantages and the monetary reasons. Texas Tech has all the funding now to them and has resulted in one of the best, if not the best, defense in the NCAA. And even though one can play a Big 12 schedule, yes, they faced BYU twice. They beat them twice, again. Utah, number 16, pounded them. they can go up against any team and match them toe for toe. Oregon's been there and done that before. And Dante Moore is what has been under center for one of the most electric schemes in the NCAA. But here's a one weakness that Oregon has: defense. They're middle of the pack defensively, and I'm not sure if they're going to keep up with Texas Tech defensively on that matter. I feel it's going to be one of those games where it's going to be not shootout type, but it's going to be a very close one. But my edge goes to Texas Tech.
I agree. Like, Texas Tech had one of the best defenses in the country at the latter half of the year. I know Ohio State has the better statistics overall defensively when you put all 12, 13 games together. But Texas Tech, they've put on a couple of masterclass defensive gem performances later in the year. And I think that momentum will continue. I think the main problem for these top 4 teams is rest versus rust. That's the main issue that they're both going to face, because it happened last year. Remember that?
Yeah.
Oregon went down, Georgia went down, Arizona State went down, Boise State went down.
And Arizona State was the closest to winning in double overtime, too.
That was the Cam Scadaboo coming out party.
Cam Scadaboo game, yep. What a great
That
game.
was the Cam Scadaboo legacy game.
Should have won that, too. Arizona State had that.
They should have won that game. I was pulling for them the entire time. So frustrating. One last story I want to get into for college football is Michigan has a brand new head coach. Kyle Whittingham, the former head coach of Utah, is now the new head coach of Michigan. This is going to be a big task for him. Utah did fairly well as an athletic program under Whittingham. I think recruiting is going to be okay. One thing that they definitely had to do in Ann Arbor was they had to shake off the toxic cobwebs that Sharon Moore left behind after his allegations of a scandal came out. And now I think recruiting should be good. Remember, it's Michigan. It's a good university, a high-profile university. So I think things could be good. John, when this hire was first announced, do you think that the AD made a good call?
Well, the timing was completely off, and so they got the best that they could. There was a couple other names that were mentioned, but with it going down the wire, they had to get somebody in order just to preserve their system, because they're losing players by the minute in the transfer portal, and they're bleeding talent. So bringing him in and establishing a trusted coach, I kind of saved the sinking ship at this point.
Yeah, it pretty much that's what it is. It's to pretty much just clean your face, pretty much of what had happened previously. I think recruiting will be fine, but I think it's gonna be interesting to see how Michigan right now is at a point where they just gotta save their face this upcoming season. That's pretty much all they got to do. Nothing more, nothing less. So now we're gonna get into. I can't believe I'm saying this. We're getting into the NBA for the first time in a long time, and the reason why is because we've had quite a terrific NBA contests, specifically on Christmas Day. The Knicks, for instance, were down 17 with 10.5 minutes left to go on Christmas Day against the Cavaliers. Kevin's pumping his fist. Josh Hart went down, and then what did the Knicks do that you never saw under Tom Thibodeau? They used the bench. You saw Jordan Clarkson score 25. You saw Tyler Kolek put up 13 or 16 points. Brunson did his usual business. But the best thing about expanding and using your bench was that you give your starters a rest. So if you are getting blown out or you have a big lead and you don't want to give it away, you don't cause fatigue amongst your starters. And Mike Brown is doing exactly what people wanted him to do from the get-go. First off, it was a fantastic game, but I think the bigger concern right now is the health of Josh Hart. Kevin, what you see so far from this Knicks team, 30 games in?
I'm very happy with what this Knicks team has been able to do 30 games in. You mentioned guys like Jordan Clarkson and Tyler Kolek. Jordan Clarkson, I've wanted him on the Knicks for years. I said it, I think, like a few years ago. Like, I think the Knicks could really benefit from a guy like Jordan Clarkson, who was a starter at the time with the Utah Jazz. But I think he can provide great scoring off the bench. And I was very psyched when the Knicks actually got him. And then you mentioned Tyler Kolek. I mean, thank God for Tyler Kolek, because not only does he provide relief when Jalen Brunson is on the bench, but he also provides a big spark, like scoring wise for the bench. Like he's fast and like he's elusive whenever he handles the ball. Keep in mind, by the way, about Tyler Kolek, this kid was not guaranteed a roster spot to start the season before the season started. Remember that the Knicks had to choose between him and Malcolm Brogdon. Whenever they got him, Malcolm Brogdon, remember him? And then it was found out that Malcolm Brogdon retired before the season started. And so that gave Tyler Kolek a safety cushion, and like he retained his roster spot. Because I would have imagined that if Brogdon were to not retire, Kolek would have been gone, and that he would have gone somewhere else. But because Brogdon retired, Kolek, you're finally seeing what his potential is and what he's able to do. Something that Coach Thibodeau just did not see in him last season and the year before that. And I'm like, use him, please use him, because whenever they drafted him, I was so excited. I wanted a guy like him to be drafted. And I know our good friend Lily knows it because he was a star at Marquette, and I saw it firsthand. Exactly. I saw it firsthand. And I'm like, this guy would be a great threat off the bench for the Knicks if they get him. And they got him, and I was psyched. And then I was always so frustrated because like he wasn't never getting any playing time except for like garbage time whenever Coach Thibodeau was the coach here. But now you have a guy like Mike Brown who fully utilizes the full extent of the bench. And now you're seeing what this kid can do. And like, it's great to see like how much he's flourishing when he does get minutes on the bench. He's like the Brunson. He's like relieves Brunson. He gets nice scoring off the bench. And to think the Knicks are doing all of this without Deuce McBride and without Landry Shamet. And now they're going to be doing it without Josh Hart. And they're calling it an ankle sprain, but I expect him to be fine after a few games of rest. But this Knicks team, I think like this is the reason why I think that they are actual title contenders this year. And when you look at the Eastern Conference, and with the Pacers not being a factor anymore because they don't have much of their star players anymore, the Celtics, although they don't have Jason Tatum, they are starting to pick it up a little bit. But I don't see them being that much of a threat because the Knicks have beat them. Yep. The Pistons, I think, could be a problem. The Magic has been a problem for the Knicks because I think two of their 9 losses are against the Magic alone, the Magic and the Heat. They've lost to them 4 times, I think, in their 9 losses. And other than those 2 teams, and clearly the Cavs, Knicks can beat them, I don't think there's any other team that the Knicks can't beat in the Eastern Conference. And they were able to beat the Spurs, who were able to knock out the Thunder. We'll talk about them in a bit. But I think this Knicks team, I think, has a good actual chance to go all the way. And I want to see it happen because, as you know, the last time that they won a title was back in 1973. So that was 50 plus years ago. And I've never seen this. This is the only team of my favorite teams that I've not even seen make it to their final round. I've seen the Devils make it to the Stanley Cup final in 2012, despite them losing to the Kings, but I've never seen the Knicks go to a finals ever. So I think this is the year that they can do it, but I've loved what I've seen so far.
The last time the Knicks made the NBA Finals was back in 1999 when they did face the San Antonio Spurs. So that was the last time they made it that far, and I think you weren't born by then. But
I was born in that year, 1999. So
okay, so you're in the crib, basically.
In the crib, yeah.
In the crib. But like the Knicks are a good rounded team. Like they're the talk of New York right now, and I love how you didn't mention the NBA Cup because they did win the NBA Cup, and they hang a banner for that, which I'm happy about because I don't think teams should be taking the NBA Cup seriously. I don't think so either. It's a good pay bonus if you win it, but it's not really doing anything. The Lakers and Bucks hang a banner for that. It was just silly. I love that the Knicks didn't do that.
I think it's more for young
also
teams.
like this.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and I also think it's for the Knicks. I think they know that like it's not really that big of a deal and should really be taking that seriously because they're out for a bigger banner, like the real banner, the real thing. Because it's been a long time since they were able to put up a banner of that actually meant something. And I think that's why they ultimately decided not to do it because they have bigger fish to fry.
Alec, you want to say something?
Yeah, I think the NBA Cup is more for young teams who want to jumpstart their franchise. Like it worked for the Pacers in the inaugural edition. It worked for the Rockets. It worked for the Thunder. It's working for the Spurs now. I think the NBA Cup works more for young franchises with budding cores wanting to get together and having to gel and build together as a franchise. I think, in my opinion, that's what it's more about. Young teams who want to get going. Like what we saw with the Spurs.
Yeah.
Look what they're doing. They beat the Thunder 3 times this season.
And I think a good thing that you mentioned, like creating I think chemistry is a big thing with this tournament, with the tournament.
Yes.
Creating chemistry amongst a young group, or at least creating chemistry within a team in general. Like when, like the Lakers, for instance, when they got Darvin Ham, when they won the first NBA Cup, it was just to gel with their new head coach, and that was mainly what it was. Bucks, I don't know why, like them winning the NBA Cup was kind of pointless because they did absolutely nothing after they won the NBA Cup. The Knicks, on the other hand, like it gives you a little bit of a momentum boost. That's how I think of it as. And like I said, chemistry, creating chemistry amongst your team. That's how I see it.
Yeah.
John, what do you think?
No, I agree. I agree with all of that. I mean, I was scratching my head over it at first because I'm like, what's the point? But I get Alex's point. And when you are building a young team or a team that you brought in players from somewhere else, you want that competition. You want that to bond and bring chemistry.
Yeah. I think that's the key word and the key thing that this tournament is supposed to do. Whether or not it lasts a long time, there are already people who are calling the head of the tournament, but I think it should stick around at least for short term reasons. And we're gonna stick with NBA because one thing that Kevin did mention that we were gonna bring up, and Alex brought up too, the Oklahoma City Thunder may have found their kryptonite. Even though they have the best record in the NBA at 26-5, they have lost only 5 times. 3 of them have come to the San Antonio Spurs. The one on Christmas Day was a blowout. And then they lost to them in the NBA Cup semifinal. And then the second time they beat the Thunder, it wasn't particularly close. So what, Alec, I'm going to come to you. What does San Antonio do right that other teams just can't figure out when it comes to the Thunder?
What I do think of is the speed and the quickness that the Spurs use among their guards. People speak Victor Wembanyama this, Victor Wembanyama that. Yes, that's true. But the Chris Paul signing from last year has a lot more meaning now. It allows for the guards to develop their games. It allows them to gel together. It allows them to know one another and their roles. When it's not Wembanyama, it's De'Aaron Fox. When it's neither of these two, it's Stephon Castle. You think Devin Vassell and the deep bench unit such as Keldon Johnson, and for the matter, was emerging as a 6-man of the year candidate. Dylan Harper, who can either come off the bench or even start. He's starting off the bench this season. You even have Luke Cornett coming off the bench, and he's molded himself into a reliable role dating back to his Celtics years, by the way. This is a deep team. And the one kid can rely on speed to keep up with others. And when Wembanyama's on the court, this defense emerges into an elite defense. He's the unit that keeps the defense together. But it's mostly the speed and the quickness of the players that Mitch Johnson wants to use out of all his guys. I saw this in the NBA Cup with Stephon Castle using his speed to his advantage. We saw this from Castle in UConn during the national championship run. That he can lead the way on the speed, whether it be at the 2 or at the 1, wherever Johnson wants to use him at. But mostly, the speed game is what matters. It's in a way in which OKC just can't catch up with. They're using a lot of big bodies. They're not fast enough. So you have to match up with a smaller, quicker lineup if you're OKC. So does that mean that San Antonio's officially jumped OKC? Not exactly. Come back to this in May.
Yeah, I think we need to see a bigger sample size. The fact that, but like, that's obviously a big psychological advantage for the Spurs. The fact that they were able to beat the champions 3 times, and it kind of brings back, like, I love that we're seeing a brand new, younger youth movement in San Antonio, because while Greg Popovich was a fantastic coach in San Antonio, and you had Ginobili, and you had Tony Parker, and you had Tim Duncan. When those guys got to their later careers, one thing that the Spurs were doing was they were relying on their veterans a lot to try to get them places. And eventually it just didn't work. It just didn't happen. Like, they all ran out of gas. And, Greg Popovich, great coach, had to retire because he's been suffering a lot of health problems. So I'm glad that we're seeing a brand new regime in San Antonio. This franchise has been stable for a very long time. And I don't think people understand that. But the fact that Mitch Johnson's able to keep this going with the pieces he has now, like, we knew Victor Wembanyama was going to be good. He just needed to be developed by a much more younger, more edgy coach that could make him at the top of his game, and that's what Mitch Johnson is doing.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Great coaches make great players.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like listen, no shade on Greg Popovich, but I think it was a passing of the torch. And I think it needed to be done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think Mitch Johnson was next in line for being the Spurs head coach. I think he was prepared for this for years, and even with Becky Hammond on the coaching staff all those years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's a good point. All right, now is our NBA for now, and we're gonna get into the NHL because I think the history is very much on the line here this season. For those of you who are unaware, the Colorado Avalanche are past the pace of the 2022-2023 Boston Bruins for most points scored in a season. Right now, they are 27-2-7 on the year through 36 games. By comparison, the Boston Bruins in 2022-2023 they had 60 points. The Avalanche are at 61 through 36 games. But the fact that the Avalanche are doing this well, and they're dominating teams too, like their plus minus goal differential is insane. And this team is a former team that won the Stanley Cup not too long ago, a couple of years ago. So the pedigree is there, and the talent is absolutely there. Cale Makar has been really good. Nathan McKinnon has been really good. But Alex, please explain what else the Avalanche have been doing to keep themselves in this position.
It's sustained play from their star players, not just McKinnon and Makar. They were able to keep Marty Necas on a long-term extension, 8 years, by the way. And he's been contributing as McKinnon's wingman. When they lost Mikko Rantanen to Carolina and later Dallas, the question is if Necas can keep up this play. He doesn't have to be Rantanen. But what matters is that Necas' game, just like McKinnon's, relies on speed. And the Avalanche rely on a speed-based offense. That's what they do best along their top six forward core. Valery Nichushkin, Brock Nelson have been huge benefits for the Avalanche. Nelson, ever since he was acquired as their solution to the second-line center. We were wondering if that extension was going to pay off. So far, it's working in the first year. Gabriel Landeskog's return has also been a huge benefit as not only their captain and their physical presence, but also someone who can be at the net front on the power play. He doesn't have to be on the first unit, but he's a huge boost to the second unit. Brent Burns on the bottom pairing has been huge for Colorado as well. And the play in net between Mackenzie Blackwood and Scott Wedgwood, no matter who they have in goal, it's outstanding between the two goaltenders. The Avalanche have assembled a Stanley Cup contender every year. And it's thanks to the front office between Joe Sakic and Chris McFarland. They've been pressing all the right buttons, making all the right moves. Charlie Coyle didn't work last season. Off to Columbus you go. We'll get Gavin Brindley return. Brindley has been thriving in Colorado ever since he landed here. They're the top team. They're the best team in the NHL for a reason. Even ahead of the likes of Dallas and Minnesota, the latter who just got Quinn Hughes in a trade, by the way. Oh, boy. The Avalanche are the team that nobody wants to face in the Stanley Cup playoffs.
And I think one thing that you said about the Avalanche is while they're good, you said, correct me if I'm wrong, something about the lines that maybe an underdog team like the Sharks could probably knock them off, correct?
Well, somewhere along the line, if one of those teams has the capability to match them toe for toe, then that would be a nightmare matchup for the Avalanche. I don't believe now. The more I see it, the Sharks with their minus 20 goal differential, they could have that capability. But if you're thinking on a deeper run, you may be thinking along the lines of the Oilers when they get to a deep run with McDavid, Draisaitl, and company.
That's fair. That's fair to say. I want to turn our attention to the state of New Jersey and the hockey going on over there. I know Kevin is on a roller coaster of emotions when it comes to the Devils. They did get Jack Hughes back recently, but Kevin is not too thrilled. Please explain and vent what's going on.
Yeah, so I mean, like it's how you said it. I mean, like at the beginning of the year, they looked pretty good. I mean, they were one of the top teams in the NHL, and they beat the Avalanche in the beginning of the year before they lost them. Like I think a couple games later, and then they lost Jack Hughes, and it's obviously a big blow now because they've lost more games that they've won without Jack Hughes. But they're able to kind of sort of ride the ship, at least get it running but like it never really gets set sail. And now they have both Jack Hughes and Brett Pesci back, their top defenseman back too. And they've lost their first 2 games with both of those guys back. And right now they're down 2-1 to the Capitals after the second period. I have it here on my phone. And like it's just the same problems persist even without Jack Hughes whenever he wasn't healthy. Is that they turn the puck over way too much. They can't get themselves out of the box. And this is not a shade to Jacob Markstrom, but he's not playing like the goalie that we got him for. Our backup goalie, Jake Allen, I think has been playing way better than Jacob Markstrom has, because Jacob Markstrom's like goal save percentage is like sub 900. Like that's not good. Right. Like I think he needs to play way better than what we paid him to do for. And it's also a lot of just careless mistakes. The last game that they played, the Devils, I forget who it was against, but they lost by 2 goals. That third goal was an empty net goal, but technically lost by 1 goal. That goal they gave up, it was a puck that came into the Devils zone, and it was to the left side of Jacob Markstrom. He goes out of his crease, out of his goal to get it, and then he like passes it to Jonas Siegenthaler. It goes off his skate. Siegenthaler can't see it, and then it's a wide open net as Markstrom can't get back, and then the other team scores, and they end up losing by technically 2 because of the empty net, up by 1. It's just stuff like that can't really happen. And another thing is that the Devils, like, they can't. I don't think it's been a long time since they've actually won in regulation, because they tied the game, and that they don't have the offense strong enough to like get themselves into regulation wins. They have to grind it out every single game, and whether it's overtime or if it's a shootout. And most of the time, it just doesn't bode well for them. But it's just the little simple mistakes that they get wrong. Like they have to stop turning the puck over. And I'm still shocked that Jonas Siegenthaler is still on this team, because I think I said it like a few episodes ago that like he's here to defend. He's a primary a defenseman. He's good at that, what he does. But when he has the puck, he is so bad with his puck control. He turns the puck over. He always has too strong of a pass. He always like lets things get by him. He can't score, so he's a liability there. He's purely there just to defend and kill penalties. I'll give him that, and to save Markstrom and Allen's ass like 6 ways to Sunday. But this team, I don't think is anything unless Jack Hughes gets himself going. And he did score a goal in his first game back, but I think it's going to take a little bit more time for him to get reacclimated to his team. This is only his 3rd game back, mind you. But right now, I'm just still seeing the same problems. Even with our best player and our best defenseman back, they got to start winning, and they got to start winning now. And it starts with this game tonight. Down 2-1 after 2 periods against the Capitals. Right now, who we're trying to catch up with, along with the Hurricanes in the Metropolitan Division, we got to start winning, and we got to start doing it now, because if we don't, then like this is going to be another season where like, oh, can't make the playoffs because of one injury to Jack Hughes, and that's going to be the whole season. So it can't happen.
So the Devils started atop the Metropolitan Division, and then once Jack Hughes got hurt, they've dropped. They're not even in wild card position right now at this point through 30
They're out of a spot, I think.
Yeah.
They are.
In a spot. No.
Just 1 point out of a spot.
They're 1 point out of a spot.
Every game
the Panthers in at the last spot. But it's actually amazing to me. The Islanders, who are in 3rd in the Metro region, who have an 18-year-old player in Matthew Schaefer, are doing better than the Devils right now. It just amazes me, because this kid Matthew Schaefer, he was the #1 pick in the draft this year.
Yeah,
he's already making a big difference with the Islanders. Like I thought the Islanders were good before the last couple of years, but they're really competitive this time around.
They are,
dude. The difference that he makes is insane. Bo Horvat's had a career resurgence. Matt Barzal's having a career resurgence, and it's thanks to Schaefer. Kyle Palmieri looks like he wants to stick around with the Islanders.
Yeah.
Emil Heineman's having a breakout. Jonathan Drouin is having the time of his life with the Islanders. Everything's clicking on all cylinders with the Islanders.
And sometimes it takes the energy of a young 18-year-old kid to bring the spark back in the players. I think that's exactly what we're seeing here in New York.
Dude, this is Quinn Hughes levels of utilization from the Islanders for Schaefer.
100%. 100%. Now, I want to turn attention back to Alex T and the Penguins, because I heard that they're on the verge of being sold. Please explain the details.
All right, so Fenway Sports Group, who owns the Penguins, is selling the team to the Hoffman family. And there are 2 different types of ownership groups. those that view sports teams as actual sports teams, and those that view them as something to make money off of. FSG falls into the latter category regarding the Penguins. Their sale was for a report of $1.7 billion. But you know what? I'm happy with this. When you look at FSG, they're just letting the other key members of the front office do make the big decisions while not getting into the decisions themselves. With the Red Sox's managerial success, it was more because of Dave Dombrowski and later Craig Breslow. Much in the same way that Liverpool was because of Jurgen Klopp and later Arne Slot, and RFK Racing more because of Brad Keselowski, who is a co-owner of the team, by the way. When Mario Lemieux and Ron Burkle bought the Penguins to save from bankruptcy, it led to winning 3 Stanley Cups with Crosby, Malkin, and Letang. Lemieux was involved with a winning culture that was built during his ownership. He's still involved in some capacity. What we know about the Hoffman family is that they own multiple generations of family-owned private equity firm, more than 100 brands in real estate, manufacturing, media, and agriculture, among other sectors. They also own a hockey team, the Florida Everblades of the ECHL. David Hoffman, who's the CEO of the Hoffman family of companies, did say he wanted to own either an NHL or NBA franchise. Well, he got his wish. And one of the biggest question marks is this season attendance, which has decreased over the last 3 seasons. It's a consequence of not making the playoffs. And with the losing skid continuing, this is a fundamentally flawed team. Let's not get it twisted. Competing for the playoffs and rebuilding for the future at the same time doesn't usually work out. And throughout the surprise start the Pens have had before us, if people were expecting playoffs in the Pens, calm down. This is still a fundamentally flawed team. But it's nice to see guys like Ben Kindle, Ville Koivunen, Rutger McGroarty, and Will Horkoff shining where they're at, with Horkoff in the NCAA. But one of the big decisions is the RSN situation. What happens to Sportsnet Pittsburgh, who's owned by FSG and the Pirates on a split share? What happens to this RSN is completely up for debate because FSG owns part of Sportsnet Pittsburgh. So that's going to be huge for the RSN market on the upcoming decision. Do we go fully on a streaming service where it's sign up to watch games for free of charge, like what the Stars and Ducks are doing for Victory Plus? What's going to happen?
It's a great unknown. That's something that this is going on. But I do want to get into the NFL because I've been blanking out on the Ravens and Packers game because I've been so into this whole conversation with all those sports. But the Ravens are up 17-7 in Green Bay right now over the Packers, and Derrick Henry scored 2 touchdowns, which ties him for 4th all-time on the rushing touchdown list with Adrian Peterson, which is actually kind of amazing. But I didn't think Baltimore would be in control in this game right here. It's actually kind of shocking because the Ravens need this game to stay alive, but the Pittsburgh Steelers have the upper hand because they're playing the Browns this week. So I think the Pittsburgh should be okay, but if you're Baltimore, this is a little bit of a confidence booster. Although there have been rumblings about Lamar Jackson sleeping in meetings and John Harbaugh letting this go. That's a discussion for a different day if, in fact, the Ravens don't make the playoffs. But we're in the present now, and there's one thing I wanted to mention is there is a certain team out of the playoffs, and Detroit, avert your ears. The Detroit Lions are out of the playoffs with a pitiful loss to the Minnesota Vikings on Christmas Day. Jared Goff turned the ball over 5 times, 3 picks, 2 fumbles. And a team that was just so promising. I guess you could just see that once Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn left, it kind of just deflated the balloon. And John's shaking his head, yes, and I think he knows what I'm talking about. John?
Well, I mean, my question earlier this week was which of the coordinators was the better coordinator, and the obvious answer is Ben Johnson.
Yeah.
The fireworks, the chemistry, the biting the kneecaps play calling just wasn't there, in my opinion, without Ben Johnson in Detroit this year. And even after Dan Campbell took over the play calling, it was very lackluster. I think this is the second season in a row, the second going into the playoffs season in a row, where Detroit is just hammered at injury. and they didn't have an O line that I could tell with as hurried as Goff was, and I think that's an important thing to look at. You know, people are talking about Tua and what he's going to do and what's happening in Miami, and unless you put an O line in front of your quarterback, all quarterbacks are going to look like Tua and Jared Goff.
Yeah, pretty much. You mentioned Miami. I want to get into that too. So Tua was benched last week in favor of Quinn Ewers. This was a Mike McDaniel decision. Mike McDaniel right now is just a dead man walking to Miami at this point. It's only a matter of time before that guy gets fired. But think of it. You're probably thinking a total clean sweep of Miami. You fired Chris Greer earlier in the year. Mike McDaniel's definitely a goner. And they're already looking at life after Tua right now, and you're thinking Quinn Ewers. Or you go to the draft in a quarterback class that's not that good and hope you get someone decent. Or you just roll with Quinn Ewers anyway with a brand new coaching staff. But it's a really weird situation in Miami. I can only imagine like how this is going to go long term. But I can tell you right now, Mike McDaniel, when he gets fired, it didn't pan out, Alec.
This is a team that's so much promise earlier in this era between Tua and McDaniel. But Tua, I think the injuries may have amounted to his regression, and he's now either lost the trust of Mike McDaniel at the worst, or at the best, it's that at the relationship, it's just simply fractured at the moment. At the worst, McDaniel's completely done with Tua at the very worst.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're looking at someone who, at 27 years old, is looking less like himself when he was back in Alabama and more like Dylan Gabriel at the NFL level. Right. That's a huge yikes. Off the field, he's still a fixture in this building. And while work ethic didn't look like a major issue, on the field, he's missing way too many receivers. The play on the field reflected exactly that. Last year, he was 15th in QBR. This year, 30th. And that was a spot below Justin Fields, by the way. Ouch. The benching was Mike McDaniel's decision, and Miami could explore the option of parting ways with him, but the conversation starts and ends with his contract. That includes $54 million in guaranteed money next year. He gets an additional $3 million the year after in guarantees if he's on the roster on the third day of the new league year. But that $54 million is a heavy problem. Even if a trade is the easiest way out, they're going to have to shed the guarantees while saving $11.2 million on the cap. They'll be taking up $45.2 million in dead money if he is dealt before June 1st. And that doesn't mean the team wants to make a deal. Even Miami offers to pay down a large portion of that trade. I could see them cutting Tyreek Hill, maybe Bradley Chubb and Minkah Fitzpatrick. That's going to save them $37 million in cap space, which will get them cap compliant. Tyreek Hill's contract alone would save them $23.65 million in cap space. And I think he's played his last snap as a Dolphin, which is necessary if you want to build the offense around Jalen Waddle. In the grand scheme of things, we don't truly know the answer to who they go under center. Probably to look at the draft, probably to look at Quinn Ewers. We don't know.
You know, one thing that you mentioned with the cap, no one knows more about salary cap and how much of a cap hit teams take than John Welch on this panel. And I can only imagine. You put up a thing earlier this week, the cap hit, I think like Tua's cap hit will be like $54 million. I think Tyreek's $51 million, and Bradley Chubb is $31 million. You do the math, you're like nearly $140 million in the cap hit if you cut those three players. So Miami's not only in financial ruin, they're also in a on-the-field ruin, product ruin, if you would say.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, like, I see Dolphin fans clamoring for a draft pick where they can go get a quarterback, and I see scenarios where they're giving the first year pick and the first year pick from next year away just to go get a quarterback in a garbage quarterback draft class. So the solution isn't going to be fixed this year. They're already, I think they're right now, but before anything is drawn up or contracts are renegotiated, in 2026, the Dolphins are at minus $12 million over the cap.
Yikes. Yep. you mentioned the Cleveland Browns being a bad financial health situation several weeks back, but this is something different. Now, I wanted to propose this to Kevin because I think this is a good scenario. We're going to go over 2 hours, but it's perfectly reasonable. Kev, one thing that you gotta remember is that the Giants and the Raiders do play each other this week. The loser of that game is going to get the number 1 pick in the draft. Let's just say, for instance, that's the Giants and they get the number 1 overall pick. There have been rumblings that they would trade that pick away to a team that definitely needs a quarterback. Miami's could be a team up on that list. Could you see Miami possibly doing something like that? Like, let's say the Giants lose this week, which God help us if that happens. But say they lose this week, get the number 1 pick. Would Miami want to trade as much assets as they can to get the number 1 pick and maybe get a QB? Because, in my opinion, Fernando Mendoza is like the only hit or miss on there.
Yeah, absolutely. Dolphins, I could definitely see calling the Giants if they do get it. That remains to be seen. We'll see if that happens. Yeah, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Dolphins and obviously the Jets, I could see them making calls to the Giants if they end up getting the number 1 pick because I think the Giants would be far more interested to trade down from the number 1 pick because keep in mind the Jets got 3 first-round picks from trading away Sauce Gardner and trading away Williams. So if I'm the Giants, if I get the number 1 pick, if I hear the Jets call me, I'm picking up the phone and say, we'll give you the number 1 pick. Give us all 3 of your first-round picks that you got in those trades. And then I'd be more than gladly happy to do that because I can easily see the Jets quickly jumping on Fernando Mendoza because I feel like the Justin Fields project is kind of all said and done with. Same thing with the Dolphins. I think that they're probably tired of Tua getting concussed all the time. And Quinn Ewers, while you'd like to see him get some playing time, it doesn't seem like he's like a long-term solution. And I also think that if the Giants do get it, and if the Dolphins call, I don't know how much draft capital the Dolphins have, but but if they don't have enough draft capital like the Jets do, the only way I would be comfortable with the Giants trading with the number 1 pick there is if they give us Jalen Waddle and a future pick. Because
it's funny because
keep in mind that he was rumored to be on the Giants trade target to have a receiver to pair along with Malik Neighbors. Because you also got to keep in mind that they have to pay Wan'Dale Robinson after this year. And who knows what the future holds for Darius Slayton. Could he be a piece that the Giants trade away for the number 1 pick if they trade him away? Because right now, frankly, I love Darius Slayton, but I think he's served his purpose already here as a New York Giant because I feel like guys like Wan'Dale Robinson and now with you see out Malik Neighbors that I feel like Slayton's kind of like in the back burner as far as our receivers go. And Jalen Hyatt was so hyped up and he's barely done anything. I feel like you got to trade one of those 2 guys for the number 1 pick if the team takes him. But if I'm the Dolphins, if I'm the Giants, I would make sure I get Jalen Waddle in that deal. That way, you don't even have to go after a wide receiver if you don't want to. You can focus solely on the other areas of need, which I think is corner and safety, because frankly, those areas of need are just garbage. And I think, and like I said, I want Caleb Downs or Carnell Tate if that's like the goal, because I think that they would easily fill those needs. But I think that the Jets right now are the team that I'm looking at. If the Giants get it and they would trade away the number 1 pick. Because I feel like if they do actually keep it, I wouldn't keep it,
Yeah.
I would trade down to get us more picks in the first round.
Yeah, before we get into the DAS, John had his finger up. I got to come to him on that one.
Oh, I was just going to point out to Kevin that my favorite trade scenario for the number 1 pick proposed was a 2026 number 1, a 2027 number 1, and Jalen Waddle going to the Giants.
That's fair.
Oh yeah,
I like that.
I could see that.
Like
happening
Kevin said, Jalen Waddle was supposed to come here. We were eyeing him and we were targeting him at the deadline, and nothing ever came out of it. So this is probably like a second chance. Although I will say, if the Giants get the number 1 pick, you're going to see more possibility and more calls being made to the Giants. If the Raiders get it, they're going to firmly grasp it, and they're not going to let go of that number 1 pick.
No
Vegas
chance.
needs a quarterback badly. Really,
Definitely,
really
I could definitely see that. Yeah.
Yep. We did get a tweet from our own Lily Schumacher about something about the Packer game. Malik Willis This fumbles. Malik Willis is having a hard game, folks. It's I think 20 to 7.
It's 20 to
right
7 now, right, Ravens. It's
20 to
27.
7 Ravens. My God, unbelievable. Who would have thought? So we're gonna come to a commercial break now. We're gonna get into our sponsor, that is DAS Technology Consulting. DAS Technology Consulting is responsible for all your IT infrastructure needs and everything that has to do with OEMs and third-party maintenance, among other things. And if you want to know more about DAS Technology Consulting, here's more from the Chief Sales Officer. Take a listen.
Our approach at DAS Technology is simple. At DAS Technology, we offer a very unique approach by providing our clients a single point of contact for all their mission-critical data center demands. DAS Technology Consulting is a global leader in data center services, specializing in delivering cutting-edge, best-of-breed enterprise solutions. With a focus on innovation and reliability, DAS provides worldwide storage, server, and networking solutions that are tailored to meet the evolving demands of the modern data-driven world.
Again, thank you, DAS Technology Consulting, for everything you do and sponsoring the show. We greatly appreciate it. With that, we are in hour number 2 of the show, and for hour number 2, you would know that we have a lot coming up, including our Foursquare Awards show to end the year and many other things. But, you know, I think it's kind of amazing we're at this point already, but we're talking about 2026 already. One thing I want to mention really quick before we continue on with the show is that 2025, I met these guys for the first time. 2024, late 2024, I met these guys for the first time. And a certain person brought us together. I'm not going to say the person's name because of the disdain towards the person's name, and I don't want to get into it. But if there's one thing I can say about this person that he did right, was that he brought 4 people together that love sports, 4 people that gel well together. And for that, I got to say thank you to this person. Again, your name will not be mentioned, but thank you, because you formed a bond amongst 4 people from 4 different parts of the country. And that's all I can ever ask for, because prior to Foursquare Sports, I was literally just on the Discord talking about sports, but not actually putting it to good use. I was not putting my knowledge to good use, but now I am. And I think I owe this person a big pat on the back for that. So, again, thank you, he who must not be named. And no, your name's not Voldemort.
I was just going to say.
Your name is not Voldemort. I actually, once upon a time when I was in 5th grade, I actually read the Harry Potter books obsessively when I was in 5th grade. Because my 5th grade teacher, his classroom was all Hogwarts. Like, the four groups were there. Like, you were Gryffindor, Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw, Slytherin. And then you also could earn house points. Like, if your table was neat and put together, house points. If you did a good deed, you put everything away, house point. If you did your homework assignment, house point. Thinking about it. Now, I don't know about you guys. I was a Hufflepuff when I was in school. I still am a Hufflepuff. I don't know about you guys.
I don't know what kind of house I would be. I couldn't even tell you. I was all over the place.
I'm a Gryffindor, by the way.
You're a Gryffindor? John, what are you?
It would either be Ravenclaw or Gryffindor for me. Usually, it's Gryffindor.
Gryffindor. Okay, I like that. Okay, so now we're going to get into fresh spreads, which is idealized by Talercio's. Since 1980, Talercio's Gourmet Deli has operated as an extension of the Talercio home. Friendly faces, lively banter, and sometimes even a compassionate ear are served alongside overstuffed sandwiches and heaping platters of homemade comfort food. For more information on Talercio's Ultimate Gourmet, visit talerciosdeli.com or call 732-576-1888. That is located in Red Bank in Monmouth County, New Jersey.
Have you seen their newest sandwich?
Oh, yeah.
The Cooper de Jean?
Oh, the Cooper de Jean? Oh, my God.
Oh, they work both ways. We saw a Cam Scadaboo sandwich and now a Cooper de Jean sandwich.
Does it have white cheese in it?
It's a Philly cheese with prime rib and a Philly cheese with chicken, and they combine them.
Ooh,
That's heavenly.
okay.
That is
great.
absolutely heavenly. Okay. Now, we've had several games played, some of which are irrelevant, some of which are actually useful. The Texans beat the Chargers, the Broncos beat the Chiefs, the Vikings beat the Lions, the Cowboys beat the Commanders, And right now, the Ravens are up 20-14 on the Green Bay Packers, who just scored thanks to Malik Willis taking it in himself 22 yards out. But we got fresh spreads, and this is where we pick games based on the spread. Not a lot of games, but we also do have to get into our Foursquare Awards ceremony, and I'm actually very excited about this. So we're going to start off with the 1 o'clock games. We're going to start off with the Cardinals at the Bengals. Bengals -7. We're going to start with Kevin.
This game, I feel like could go either way. Cardinals are great at putting up points, but their defense is lackluster. The Bengals, with Joe Burrow back, I think they finally found a better groove with their offense. But their defense is still a lot to be desired. I think Bengals barely cover. I'm gonna say Bengals.
Okay, Alec.
Too little, too late for Cincinnati. You found your stride, but you lose too many shootouts up against stronger teams. This is the consequence. And with you planning on running it back, just contract the franchise already, Cincinnati. You win the game, but you already lost everything long ago. Bengals don't cover either way. I'm not even giving you the grace of covering this game.
All right, John.
I like the Bengals. The injury list for the Arizona defense is as long as my arm. And I was really confident in how Burrow looked against the Dolphins. So I'm going to roll with the Bengals again.
Okay.
Plus I'm playing
go...
Burrow on my fantasy team.
Oh, yeah, you're playing for the championship against Bama Girl.
That's Higgins for third place.
That's right. So I'm going with the Bengals -7. I think that it could be a shootout game. If you have like a guy like Trey McBride or a Michael Wilson, you're probably going to do really good. But if you have like a Jacoby Brissett, you're going to get an up and down result. Next up, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Cleveland Browns. Pittsburgh -3.5. We're going to start off with Alec on this one.
This depends. We're waiting on the result of tonight's game between the Ravens and Packers, but my pick depends on the Ravens game first. Let's assume the Ravens win. I'm going to pick the Steelers to win, but not cover here because we know what's at stake. Myles Garrett needs a full sack to break the sack record set by Michael Strahan, tied by TJ Watt. Now, assume the Ravens don't win. We already clinched the division, essentially making our game against the Ravens next week meaningless. So I think either way, we're in a good position. We'll have to hold on to this. Now, going by the logic that the Ravens hold on, which part of me would not be surprised if they blow it and lose. Either way, I'm going to say, yep, we need DK Metcalf as soon as possible. I have his back given the recent evidence that came out. Man, just go away, Ryan Kennedy. Steelers win, even though we don't cover. It's a win. Win the division. First round. Here we come.
One thing you mentioned is that Myles Garrett could get the sack record. I hope it doesn't happen the same way Michael Strahan got the sack record. For those of you who don't know, and Kevin might know this, Brett Favre falls down. That's not the record. I'm sorry. I love Michael. I actually got to meet him one time, but that's not the record. Anyway, Kev, what do you think?
TJ Watt had a sack similar on week 17 against the Browns when Baker Mayfield falls down. He still should have the sack record because Tyler Huntley lost the ball, got it back, and it was brought down by TJ Watt. That's the record.
That's the record. Okay, Kevin?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as Alec. I mean, it's going to depend largely on tonight's game against the Ravens and the Packers. But nonetheless, I think they'll still think Steelers should win this game. I do see Myles Garrett getting that final sack to break the record. But the Steelers, I think they should be beating the Browns because, even though Myles Garrett signed that big contract and he's not winning, at least he might get a consolation prize by possibly getting the sack record on Sunday, beating tomorrow. So I think Steelers should easily win.
All right, John.
I like the Browns.
I'm not mad at that.
I like the Browns. No DK, no TJ. You have all of that drama. The Steelers are not good against a pass catching running back, and that's what Dylan Sampson is going to do tomorrow. As much as I don't like Shedeur, I don't know that Pittsburgh can pull it off, especially in Cleveland.
Okay.
Get ready to meet Joey Porter Jr.
All right, so I think the Steelers are waiting to see what happens tonight. If Baltimore holds on, then it's going to be a different game plan. I think no matter what happens tonight, Myles Garrett's getting that last sack. I think no matter what happens.
Yeah, my pick largely hinges on this one. If Baltimore wins, Steelers win, don't cover. If Baltimore loses, Browns win. That's how I'm hinging my pick on.
That's fair. I like that. But either way, I'm going with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Next up, we got the New Orleans Saints at the Tennessee Titans. Two teams who are picking up steam late when it's too little too late. But the Saints are -2.5 in Tennessee. Kevin?
Saints. I'm surprised the spread's that low. I think it should be by at least a touchdown. Saints easily.
All right. Alec?
Tyler Shuck seems to be finding some groove under center, and that's why throughout the course of the year, I can't really grade Kellen Moore's first season with New Orleans that much. I need to see a bigger sample size from him because the way the roster's constructed, it's not that good, and there's only so much that he can do. That's why he gets a pass for this first year. Tennessee, by the way, with the way that they beat the Chiefs last week, there's only one question I have in mind. How much incompetence was Patrick Mahomes masking from the Chiefs? It's not just the coaches, even the owners up front. When you look at that new stadium deal,
Right.
Good Lord, that's the biggest fleece job that the Hunts have ever done in the history of the state of Kansas. Oh my goodness! New Orleans wins, by the way, and covers, but why?
Yep. John?
I like New Orleans here. I did win money betting on the Titans to beat the Chiefs without Mahomes, so pretty happy about that. I haven't believed in the Chiefs all year without Mahomes. I didn't believe them at all. I was surprised that they actually put up a fight against Denver on Thursday.
With a
But,
first-team quarterback.
Yeah, but I like Tyler Shuck. For me, he's he's probably the rookie of the year, if not the offensive player of the year. The only other person that could actually compete with that would probably be Jackson Dart. So we'll see what happens. But I like Nola.
All right.
What say
I'm gonna
you
go with
about
the
Ted
Saints as well.
McMillan, by the way?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm going to go with the Saints. Next up, we got the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Indianapolis Colts. Jaguars -5.5. Kev?
Yep, Jags. This is an easy one. Colts have already been eliminated from playoff contention as because of the result last night. I think with the Texans winning.
This
The
afternoon.
Texans today, excuse me, winning today. So I think the Jags are going to put up a good score against the Colts. And this is no respect to Phillip Rivers. I mean, I think he, like, in all intents and purposes, I think he's been playing fine, but he doesn't have quite the arm. It's not going to be enough to win, even with him being brought back. It was a desperation attempt by the Colts,
It was.
and it didn't work. It's continuing to spiral, and I think it's going to continue to spiral even in this game where they're not playing for anything anymore. But the Jaguars are, so I think Jaguars win.
All right, Alec?
This is sad knowing that the Colts are eliminated already. Yeah, the Texans gave them the knockout punch with Phillip Rivers trying to save what is already a collapsing season, and this agonizing collapse is officially complete. Jags win this one and cover. If I'm a Colts fan, I'm laying flowers. This magical season, which was the dream season to start the year, it's now a nightmare scenario, both present and future.
Yep.
What unbelievable heartbreak from them. Both
In that
injuries
time,
and with
it all
defensive
collapsed.
flaws. Dude, I can't help but feel awful about this.
Yeah, it's a shame. John?
Give me the Travis Etienne Jaguars.
Travis Etienne.
49ers showed you how to beat the Colts, and they seed really, really well. I think the Jags can do that with Travis Etienne.
Okay. And also, Derrick Henry scored his third touchdown of the game, by the way. So it's 27-14 Ravens over the Packers.
Jeez.
Run the damn ball!
Run the damn ball! I'm going with the Jaguars. Next up, we got two Florida teams. Florida man is either going to go with the Buccaneers or the Miami Dolphins. Bucks minus 5.5. Kev.
This is a must-win for the Bucks, pretty much, because
Yep.
I know we're going to get into the Seahawks against the Panthers, but we would all assume that the Panthers would lose against the Seahawks, and then in that case, the Bucks have to win against the Dolphins because then it would be to where both teams are 8-8, and it would come down to that last game against the Panthers.
Winner take all.
So Bucks, this is a must-win for them, and the Dolphins right now you don't know what they are, especially with Quinn Ewers and all that nonsense. I'm going to say Bucks simply because they've got to win. So Bucks.
Okay. All right, Alec.
Same logic as Kevin. Bucks win because they simply have to win. This is a second half collapse similar to the Colts, but this is more because of coaching issues. Todd Bowles is still here because he's in a bad division. You got to change guard. In an ever-changing NFL, you have to evolve, not keep up with the same old guard. They let two good offensive coordinators walk, Dave Canales and then Liam Cohen. They've developed their quarterbacks into solid quarterbacks, and Trevor Lawrence back into an excellent quarterback and the quarterback they was primed up to be. Tampa Bay, oh my goodness, what a disaster. But they win because Miami is stuck up in their own you-know-what.
Yeah, Tampa Bay is 1-6 in their last 7 games. John?
Nobody in the NFC South actually wants to win. And I think Miami is going to give the Bucks a run for their money. I think it's going to be close. I give the edge to Tampa simply because they have better wide receivers. I really like Achane again in this game. But I think between Quinn Ewers and not having enough talent at wide receiver, I think the edge goes to the Bucks.
All right. I'm going to go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, although I do think Miami covers. Next up, we got the Patriots at the Jets. I mean, minus 13.5. I mean, do I have to say any more?
Not really. Patriots,
all the way?
easily, yeah. Pats all around.
Pats all around.
Yeah, Pat's all around. Who's Brady Cook? Who let Brady cook?
Brady Cook. Imagine that kind of name. Anyway, we got the Seahawks at the Carolina Panthers. This could be an interesting one. Seahawks minus 7. Kev?
Yeah, like I said previously when we were doing Bucks and Dolphins, I think we would assume that the Panthers would lose this game. But if they do win it, then most likely they're going to be in the playoffs. Because let's say, for all intents and purposes, the Panthers lose this game against the Seahawks and the Bucks beat the Dolphins. At that point, then they would both have the same record, 8-8, and it would come down to the Panthers and that playing the Bucks in that last game. Let's say if the Panthers somehow upset the Seahawks and that the Bucks beat the Dolphins. At that point, if the Bucks win, then it would come down to tiebreaker. So, I think it would still be the Panthers. So I think if the Panthers win this game, I think they're pretty much in the playoffs. But I don't think they're beating the Seahawks. I think Seahawks win easily.
All right, Alec.
All right, let's set the record straight. The Panthers have 2 wins this season while being a double-digit underdog. They beat the Packers while being 13.5-point underdogs.
Yep.
And beat the Rams while being 10-point underdogs.
Yep.
This time, they are 7-point underdogs against the Seahawks. So, by law, and the Panthers this year are the team that operates by no logical reasoning whatsoever. What are they? Are they a sneaky and gritty team? Are they a playoff team? Are they a team that's supposed to be at the bottom of the barrel? What are they? Nobody knows. So by this logic, this is going to be a game that can be up for grabs, in which the Seahawks should dominate on paper with all the roster spots filled all across. JSN's having himself a year. The defense is elite. Sam Darnold's having a career revival. Well, surely they should win, right? Nope. The Cardiac Cats are here. They don't care about the points that you're favored by. They don't care about the odds that they're up against. When they're on, they are the most cardiac of nature. They are the most heart attacks of nature. And they are the Grim Reapers, especially Bryce Young. Whoever did that out
Yeah.
of him as a Grim Reaper, I'll give you my respect to him. But you know what? There's a certain feeling. Carolina for the upset.
All right, John, how you going to respond to that?
Oh, I mean, Alec can dream. But I think a lot of people forget that this is a revenge game for Sammy D, who was a Panther. Remember, it wasn't very long ago that the Panthers had Baker and Sammy D on their team,
That's right.
and
Yeah.
couldn't do anything with either one of them. So that's an interesting storyline for me in this game. The Seahawks are peaking at the right time. That crazy game of the year against the Rams, which is unforgettable at this point, is the ultimate high. And I think that's what the Seahawks are riding on and going into Carolina. I think it's a close game. I think the Seahawks win by 4. So I think the Panthers cover, but easily a victory for the Seahawks.
All right.
Oh, interesting note.
Yeah.
Yes, Baker Mayfield said it was a revenge game every time he plays the Panthers. Last week, let's just say something happened.
Yeah, pretty much. Let me just say one thing about Sammy D. I hope Adam Gase is working at a local gas station, because he should probably feel really, really stupid for developing Sam Darnold the way he did and seeing what he's like now. It's actually quite remarkable what good coaching can actually do to a player. But Sammy D's been great. That game against the Rams on Thursday Night Football last week was amazing. Like, probably the game of his life. The Seahawks are still trying to fight for that number 1 seed, and you know what? I think the Panthers cover, but I think Seattle wins outright. And then we got the 4. Oh, brother, these teams stink! We got the Giants and the Raiders. Loser gets the number 1 pick in the draft. Giants are a 2.5-point favorite, and the Raiders shut down Max Crosby. Kev.
Well, there's 2 nicknames for this game. You can either call it the Toilet Bowl because of how much these teams stink, or you can call it what it should be called, the Tank Bowl. And the reason why it should be called that is because, yes, you did mention it, that the Raiders are shutting Max Crosby down, but Max Crosby vehemently said that he doesn't agree with it, and he left the facility, and he's like, I don't care about the number 1 pick. I want to be the best defensive player in the world, and he wants to play. So I don't think Max Crosby had a choice in that matter, because the Raiders are clearly tanking, and I think that's a problem. But the Giants, they have so many injuries. They're not going to have Andrew Thomas, their starting left tackle. They're not going to have John Michael Schmitz, their starting center. They're not going to have DJ Davidson. They're not going to have, I think, their starting safety, Tyler Nubin. They have a plethora of injuries. And that's not even including that. I don't know if they should even start Jackson Dart at this point. Start Russell Wilson for all I care. Because at this point, I want the number 1 pick. I do. I wanted it last year. And of course, Drew Lock decides to become Jesus Christ and get 3 touchdowns on that game and then lose it. And then the Patriots did the same thing, losing their first number 1 pick, their game after, and then went to the Titans. So in true Giants fashion, I'm going to say the Giants win this game, because that's literally the most Giants thing that could happen. The same thing as last year. All you have to do is lose to get the number 1 pick. Can't get it. This year, same thing. All you have to do is do what you do best and lose. But it probably won't happen. They're probably going to beat the Raiders, because Raiders are garbage, just like the Giants are. And Giants are going to have a culture win, right? And win this game by a field goal. Let's say a field goal. They'll win by a field goal. And they're going to lose the number 1 pick. The Raiders are going to get it. And the Giants are going to continue to be garbage for years to come. So, Giants, you're going to get the win.
Oh,
Please,
my
Lord.
goodness.
Please, Lord.
Dude.
Alec.
I guess I'll start off by listing all the injuries for both teams. So, injured for the Giants: Andrew Thomas, John Michael Schmitz Jr., Tyler Nubin, Theo Johnson, Evan Neal, Joshua Ezeudu. Raheem Nunez-Roches is questionable. Then you also have Kayvon Thibodeau, who's injured. Micah McFadden, Malik Neighbors, Cam Scadaboo. Okay, so I think that's more than enough. The Raiders injuries: Max Crosby, Colton Miller, Raheem Mostert, Jack Betts are questionable. Jeremy Chin, Brock Bowers, Jordan Meredith, Jackson Powers Johnson. That's about it for them. But either way, this is more about me picking who's gonna. This is my pick is not about who wins this game, but who loses this game. Because what's more important is higher draft positioning, and I believe whoever's the true winner is the loser this game. So even though the Giants get the win, the Raiders move up to number 1 in the draft boards with the loss and get closer to drafting, I don't know, Fernando Mendoza, maybe ish. What other team holds AD? Linebacker? Safety? I don't know.
Who knows?
John?
Everything that Kevin said, but I'm just going to say Giants.
I hate to say it. Giants win, Raiders lose, Raiders get the number 1 pick. I hate to say it, but it's going to happen.
I'm dead inside.
I know, so am I. Think of it. We haven't had the number 1 overall pick in 61 years, and this is like last year, like teams were playing hot potato with the number 1 overall pick last year.
Who wants to get it? Well, the Patriots fumbled the number 1 pick, and they still end up getting a good offensive lineman, Will Campbell. So
Yeah, they did.
not alls lost.
You know, I think I think of that one SpongeBob episode where like Plankton wants SpongeBob to get the ice cream cone, and he's like, "Great, now let him have it. You can have it. You can have the number 1 pick." And then Plankton, like Giants fans, no.
Hey, pencil neck. Yeah, you. Slither over here.
Yeah.
Surrender that ice cream cone. Every waking moment for you will become a swirling torture of pain and misery.
Surrender the number 1 pick now.
I can reference a lot of SpongeBob. God help me.
As can I.
Next up, we got the Eagles at the Bills. Final regular season game at Highmark Stadium. Bills minus 1.5. Kev?
This one's a good one because I think a lot of people even had this as some of their Super Bowl picks last year. And I think I'll just say this right now. If the Bills do not make the Super Bowl this year, they never will. Because you have to look at what this season has turned into. No Joe Burrow to stand in Josh Allen's way. No Lamar Jackson to stand in his way, although that's pending. We'll see what happens there. And no Pat Mahomes, his kryptonite in the postseason, not going to be in his way. Who's going to be in his way this time? The Patriots, the Jaguars, the Broncos, the Chargers, possibly the Texans. Those teams are not the teams that were in your way. So if you cannot get yourself to the Super Bowl, you never will. With that being said, Bills win by a touchdown.
Okay, Alec.
Well, you did mention the Texans. They are Josh Allen's utter kryptonite, by the way.
Yeah, they are. They are.
Yes.
True.
And you know, with this game in mind, last game at Highmark Stadium, at least in the regular season, and they want to send their fans out how happy. The Eagles have been, I don't know what type of team they are. They're in the same boat as the Jaguars. Like, what type of team are they? Are they a true playoff team? Are they a team that is swinging and missing? Buffalo is relying a lot on Josh Allen with his throwing, his legs, and even James Cook for that matter. Defense has been suspect, and the stats may be inflated for the defensive side because they play in a bad division, the AFC East. They split with the Patriots, but up against the Eagles, who have been the best team in their division, though that's not saying much because the rest of the division is falling on itself. Yeah, yep. Same reaction as you. I think it's going to be decided by who takes care of the ball more. I think it's going to be Buffalo.
And also, I correct myself there. The final game of Highmark Stadium will be next week when they're at home against the Jets. John?
This is going to be a really interesting game. Probably one of the most competitive. I believe in the Bills more than I believe in the Eagles, especially the way that they've been playing of late, especially on offense. Home game, I like the Bills.
I'm taking Buffalo as well. I think they're just better than the Philadelphia Eagles are. I think home crowd is always going to come into play. Winter is always going to come into play. Granted, both Philadelphia and Buffalo are somewhat close, but well, they are both in the Northeast. But I think Buffalo will just win this one outright. I think they cover too. Sunday Night Football, we got the Bears at the Niners. The Bears coming off the biggest win of their season, travels to San Fran, and they're a 3.5-point underdog. Kev?
This one should be a good one and also a close one. The Bears, this has been a Cinderella season for them, winning their first year under head coach Ben Johnson. Meanwhile, the Niners, I mean, you've even had games where Mac Jones has looked better than Brock Purdy under center, and they're still finding, and they've had a plethora of injuries, and they're still finding ways to win games, and they're back in the playoffs once again. I told you guys, like when we did our predictions of like who would come out or do good in the NFC, I said the Niners. I was the only one to say the Niners because Kyle Shanahan is a good coach and knows how to prepare for these types of situations. Despite the fact that they don't have the teams that they've once had, they still are a good team, all things considered, because of guys like Christian McCaffrey finally being healthy for a full season. Remember, he wasn't healthy last season. And I think you see on and off, like last season, weren't healthy. This season, they are healthy. And what do you know? They're a playoff team again. This team is all dependent on if Christian McCaffrey is healthy. And if he's healthy, then this team can go pretty far in the playoffs. With this game, however, going up against the Bears team, who hasn't been this good in a long time, I think, especially at home, could be a good advantage for the Niners. But the Bears, with the playing that team that they're playing, I think that they could definitely give them a run for their money. I'll say this game is going to go into overtime. And I think that they're going to win in overtime by a field goal.
All right. Alec?
You know, you're giving me more food for one-score games here, Kevin. Perhaps, maybe, this is going to be a good one. It's going to make for a lot of fireworks because we could be seeing a high-scoring game between these two. I think NBC made the right decision to have this game be on prime time in Week 17 at San Francisco as well. Chicago's having the dream season, and they're all loving it. San Francisco is having the season that they needed to correct themselves to be in this spot. That's, there is an acronym that stands out. FTTB means faithful to the Bay. But I'm going to use it as faithful to the Bears because I think the Bears will come out, win at San Francisco by one score. To cover is TBD, but I say I lean towards yes, they will cover. They're underdogs. So, yeah.
Okay, John.
No, I mean, no Kittle, maybe. No Odunze. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. I watched the Colts put up 14 quick points against Robert Saleh's defense, and then he changed. He went from man to zone, and that immediately shut down Phillip Rivers. But I think Ben Johnson can adapt. So I would not be surprised if Chicago wins this game.
I'm going to say the Niners win this just because of the West Coast time zones. I think are going to be a very big hindrance to the Bears. So I'm going to go with the Niners in the cover. And last but not least, we got Matthew Stafford and the Rams in Atlanta. Rams an 8-point favorite, and they are shutting down Davante Adams for the rest of the regular season. He'll be back for the playoffs. Kev?
Rams, easy. Cover easily and win.
Okay. Alec?
Against the Falcons, shutting down Davante Adams is not going to matter that much. I mean, you're facing your farm team, by the way.
Right.
Rams win and cover.
Rams win. John?
Rams.
Rams all the way. Okay, so that is our fresh spreads for the day. Thank you to Lercios for existing and creating amazing sandwiches. But now we end the show in a different manner. Usually we have Fresh Find or Fry, but because it's the end of the year, I did say it that we were going to have our Foursquare Awards. We're probably going to go over 2 hours because of it, but it's rightfully so because Foursquare 2025 Awards, first time we're ever doing it. We technically had it last year when we were under a different name, but this feels a little bit more special. So we're just going to do it this way. So the Foursquare Awards 2025. So in honor of every single one of these people who were qualified to be part of an award, you get 4 nominees per category. 1 is going to win. And because there's 12 categories, we're each picking our 3 winners. So I'm going to start off with the tennis world, and I'm going to do the best female tennis player. So the best female tennis player goes to the women who made tennis great in 2025 through amazing stories and phenomenal play. And the nominees are Arina Sabalenka of Russia, Amanda Anisimova of the
Belarus.
United States of America, Iga Swiatek of Poland, and Coco Gauff of the United States of America. And the award goes to Amanda Anisimova. And the reason why I had to do this is because she did something that I think you will never see again. She took 8 months off of playing tennis, found her love for the game again, played at a high level, and is just enriched with the sport again. I feel like what you want to see is a rich connection with the sport that you're playing in your craft. Amanda lost that, and she gained it back, and she was really, really great. She did make it to two Grand Slam finals. She did really well. She didn't win any Grand Slams, but I think just getting her confidence back and playing at a high level, I think is just amazing. And yes, Arina Sabalenka is from Belarus. I always thought it was Russia. Sorry. Next up, we're going to go to Kev for best male tennis player.
So for this one, I saw the nominees were Jannik Sinner, Carlos Alcaraz, Novak Djokovic, and Taylor Fritz. Now, I'm going to rule out Taylor Fritz simply because that the other three guys are just simply better players this year. Now, if this was the case of best American male tennis player, I picked Taylor Fritz easily because I think he's been the most consistent out of all the American men. But he's out on this list for best male tennis overall player. So that could leave Sinner, Alcaraz, and Djokovic. Now, Djokovic, he has been consistent at every single Grand Slam, despite the fact that he's 38 years old and still kicking. He's made it to the semifinals of every Grand Slam this year, but he's always lost to either Sinner or Alcaraz. So I'm going to rule him out as well. So a process of elimination, it's either Sinner or Alcaraz. Now, these two young, bright tennis players have been in all of the finals in all these Grand Slams. Sinner and Alcaraz trade Grand Slam finals appearances. So if you look at Carlos Alcaraz, he made it to the quarterfinals in the Australian Open, won the French Open against Jannik Sinner, lost to Jannik Sinner in the Wimbledon final, and then beat Jannik Sinner in the U.S. Open. So he won 2 out of the 4 Grand Slams this year. And if you look at Jannik Sinner, he has been on fire. He beat Carlos Alcaraz in the Australian Open. Or actually, it wasn't even Carlos Alcaraz. It was someone else. I forget who it was. He lost to Alcaraz in the French Open final. He beat Alcaraz in the Wimbledon final, and he lost to Alcaraz in the U.S. Open final. So if you look at all of the results side by side, most consistent-wise has been Jannik Sinner. He's made it to the final and out of all of those. But consistent results has been Djokovic because he's been in the semifinal in all of them. But because of Alcaraz reaching the quarterfinals in one of them, I would say Jannik Sinner is going to be winning that award simply because of the fact that he always gets to the final and either wins it or loses it to Alcaraz. And he's won it. Right. He's won half of the Grand Slams, and he's been finalist in all 4. So I'm going to say Jannik Sinner is the best male tennis player.
All right. Awesome. All right, now we're going to go to the NBA. Alec, best NBA player, take it away.
All right, for best NBA player, the nominees are Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Anthony Edwards, Jalen Brunson, and Tyrese Halliburton. All of them guards, by the way. The only one that's a shooting guard is Anthony Edwards. The other 3 are point guards. The winner for best NBA player 2025 is from the Oklahoma City Thunder, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. By far and away, you could describe that perfect season as the impetus for the basis of this award throughout the 2025 season. Led the league in points per game, won on the regular season MVP, and led his guys to an NBA championship over the Indiana Pacers, even though it took a hard-fought 7 games. Already, the Thunder came out swinging to a historic 24-1 start, which was matched by none other than the 2016 Golden State Warriors for the best start. And he has been the catalyst of it all. When you're sitting out of multiple fourth quarters, that speaks volumes to how good this team is, but also you as a player. That finals MVP showed it. In Game 7, he had 12 assists to 1 turnover. And that turnover didn't come until after his 12 assists.
Mm-hmm.
He is the backbone of the Oklahoma City Thunder. And he's he's the biggest reason why they're at the top of the Western Conference right now. OKC is in very good hands, both present and future. And he's the main reason.
Okay. Now we're going to go to best sports executive overall. While players make the team, the executives build the team and make it for what it is. The nominees for overall best sports executive are Sam Presti of the Oklahoma City Thunder, Andrew Friedman of the Los Angeles Dodgers, Jeffrey Lurie of the Philadelphia Eagles, and Bill Zito of the Florida Panthers. And the award goes to Sam Presti of the Oklahoma City Thunder. Here's why. Because this Thunder team a few years ago were just a bunch of young players that had no sense of direction. They were still trying to find their identity. It took some time, but the Thunder scratched and clawed their way to their first NBA title as the Thunder, and they did it in grand style, winning the NBA Finals in 7 games. And now they're the best team in the NBA, despite the Spurs lurking in the shadows. I think this was the easy one for me. I got to go with Sam Presti. Next, we're going to go to the Diamond, best MLB player. Kevin, take it away.
So the nominees for best MLB player are Aaron Judge, Shohei Ohtani, Cal Raleigh, and Kyle Schwarber. Now, as you know, I am a Yankees fan and a massive Aaron Judge fan, and I got this nice Aaron Judge Funko Pop for Christmas. So there might be some bias in the pick, but this says best MLB player, not best hitter. So when you look at all these guys' seasons one-on-one, Kyle Raleigh had a fantastic season, best season by a catcher and switch hitter with his 60 home runs. Kyle Schwarber, he had a great season, finished second behind Ohtani and MVP voting. Judge won the AL MVP, and Ohtani's Ohtani. So if we're talking best hitter, it's Judge. No question about it, out of all these guys. But this is the best MLB player. And I hate to say this, but I'm going to give it to Shohei Ohtani because I think it's this is kind of like, it's not really fair to compare all these players to Ohtani simply because of the fact that only one of these guys can pitch as well. And Ohtani's been doing it every single season. And I think until another guy can pitch as well, he's going to be the best MLB player every single season. Despite the fact that I love Aaron Judge, Ohtani, I think, is the better overall player simply because he has that pitching added into his repertoire. But right. So for this, I'm going to painfully say Shohei Ohtani.
I understand it, though.
I respect that.
I can't be mad at it, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
Next, we're going to go to the ice. Alex, cup of tea. Alex, best NHL player. Take it away.
All right, the nominees for best NHL player are Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, Cale Makar, and Connor Hellebuyck. Now, Draisaitl has been an elite player in and of his own right. However, between him and McDavid, you would obviously want to start a franchise with McDavid. So it's a pick your turn here. Draisaitl, you could say that you could sub him out for Nathan McKinnon, so he's out. Cale Makar is Cale Makar, but I would say it's not fair to compare him in comparison to McDavid or Hellebuyck, given the season that he's had compared to these two. So I feel Makar is out. Now this is the real battle between the two. Of course, Hellebuyck is Hellebuyck, at least in the regular season. However, the edge goes to, from the Edmonton Oilers, Connor McDavid. Of course, he is the leader of the Oilers, no question about it, and show why he is the best player in the NHL. I mean, when you have Nathan McKinnon up by 15 points in the NHL points race this season, and then McDavid goes off on a tear, not only catching him, but also passing him on the points race by Christmas. Dude, we're talking about first ballot Hall of Famer. McDavid, that is. Easily the future captain of Canada.
Yeah, he's carrying the NHL at this point.
Yeah, when Sidney Crosby retires, McDavid's going to be the next captain of Canada in international play. No question.
Yeah. Easily.
Yep. All right. So now it's my turn. I'm going to go to best NFL player. The NFL is known as the gridiron sport. We all love it. These 4 men made their impacts on the game in more ways than one, and all have awards to show for it. The nominees are Josh Allen, quarterback of the Buffalo Bills; Jalen Hurts, quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles; Myles Garrett, defensive end for the Cleveland Browns; and Saquon Barkley, running back for the Philadelphia Eagles. And the award goes to Myles Garrett, defensive end for the Cleveland Browns. And here's why. In the 2024 NFL season, he became the youngest man to reach 100 sacks before turning 29 years old. That's one amazing thing. But the fact that he was able to follow that up with what's going to be a record-setting season for NFL defensive linemen who, as far as sacks are concerned, breaking the record, I think that's going to be like the cherry on top of it. I mean, Josh Allen did win NFL MVP. Jalen Hurts is Super Bowl MVP, and Saquon Barkley did have a 2,000-yard rushing season. But overall significance and how dominant he is at his position, I have to go with the defensive player on this one, especially because defense is scarce in the NFL nowadays. So, Myles Garrett, you're the winner.
As someone who loves defense and as a rival of the Cleveland Browns, I can't be mad at that. Defensive players represent.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Okay, now we're going to go to best overall sports moments. I'm going to give Kevin this one.
Okay. So the nominees for best overall sports moments are Game 7 of the NBA Finals, Game 7 of the World Series, the Luka Doncic trade, and the NBA gambling arrests. So out of all of those, I'm going to immediately rule out the NBA gambling arrests because this is all best overall sports moment. I think this is more of like just a drama thing as opposed to like a sport moment. So I'm going to rule that out. The Luka Doncic trade, again, it's really more of a drama thing and more of like a big conversation about before the season, how the season unfolded in the trade market. Even though that was utterly ridiculous looking back at it, I'm going to rule that out too. So that leaves Game 7 of the NBA Finals or Game 7 of the World Series. Game 7 of the NBA Finals was very entertaining, but I thought that Game 7 of the World Series was even more entertaining because that was one of the best Game 7s I've ever seen in my life because the Blue Jays were literally an inch close, literally this close to winning the World Series and knocking off the defending champion LA Dodgers. But the Dodgers and Andy Pages, of all people, who was garbage the entire postseason, made the catch of the postseason and the year. And he also got a home run, and Will Smith puts the nail in the coffin. And they turn a double play when the Blue Jays had not one, not two, but 3 chances to get a run in, and they couldn't do it. That's going to be the winner for best overall sportsman moment. Game 7 of the World Series, without a doubt.
It was a very dramatic game and a phenomenal way to conclude the baseball season. All right, now we're going to go. Although I do want to say, honorable mention, Rory McIlroy winning the Masters.
Oh, that was great. I love that. Yeah.
Honorable mention.
Well, I can't. Yeah, that's an honorable mention. But here's another honorable mention: 4 Nations Championship, Canada versus USA.
Yes,
that was great,
a good one too.
Very good.
That was really good. That was a phenomenal game. Now it's my turn for best champion. If you're on top of the mountain, that's great, but how you got there says a lot. The nominees are the Oklahoma City Thunder, UConn Women's Hoops, Florida Men's Hoops, and the Ohio State football team. Oh, the winner is Oklahoma City Thunder. They swept this year, and you want to know why? Again, young studs everywhere you look, and Shea Gilgeous-Alexander nearly taking every trophy in the trophy case this year, all for himself. I think it just speaks volumes to how great this team was. And honestly, up until the NBA Finals, I feel like there was no one that was able to touch them. That's how lackluster the season was. But again, the Thunder were just dominant, and they proved it. All right, now we're going to go to Rookie of the Year. Alec, take it away.
Wait, I thought this was Kevin.
Oh, my bad. Kevin, take it away.
Sure. So Rookie of the Year nominees are Matthew Schaefer, Nick Kurtz, Jackson Dart, and Cooper Flagg. Now, I feel like this is a clear winner because there's only one player on here that has won Rookie of the Year, and that's Nick Kurtz. And the reason why I picked Nick Kurtz is because of that fact. And also, Matthew Schaefer, Jackson Dart, and Cooper Flagg, they're still playing, and their their year's not over yet. So we have to finish out the year first before I can give a fair assessment on them.
That's fair.
But
That's fair.
But take Nick Kurtz out of the situation because I picked him to be the winner. Matthew Schaefer has been a nice young player for the New York Islanders, and what he's been able to do. And the New York Islanders are not a pushover team anymore. They're a legitimate playoff contender, and I could definitely see them being a problem if they do get there. And I think Matthew Schaefer is a big part of that. Jackson Dart, listen, I love Jackson Dart. As you know, I'm a Giants fan, and I thought at the beginning of the year he played outstanding. Whenever they played him, whenever they started, I think it was 0-4, 0-3. And in that first game, when we started against the Chargers, you saw what Jackson Dart has the capability of doing when he's right. His last game didn't do good, so I'm not gonna. But that was the game that I think the coaches just decide that he just should not pass the ball and they should just run it the whole time. So I'm going to give a pass on that. But I do think he has stuff to work on. But I think it could have been a different scenario if he actually started the year as opposed to started when they were 0-3 or 0-4. So, and with Cooper Flagg, I'm fully 100% convinced that still the NBA draft lottery was rigged, and then he only went to the Mavericks because of that Nico Harrison, Luka Doncic trade. But for all intents and purposes, he has played well with the Dallas Mavericks. But I still am of the fair belief that you should be staying in college for at least 3 years before you get drafted. Because
Amen.
Who beat Cooper Flagg in March Madness? Who beat them? UH Cougars, baby.
Cougars.
Cougs house. With that being said, Nick Kurtz is the Rookie of the Year.
I like that. So I wish I had the clip of you at that bar. Yes. Oh my god.
Just not the full clip.
Not the full clip. I remember when I first played it, it was like the first 15 seconds, because after 15 seconds, things got a little rowdy.
I've never been that elated for a sports moment in quite that long.
Okay. Next up, we got Best Send-Off. Alec, take it away.
All right, the nominees for Best Send-Off are Clayton Kershaw, John Cena, Brandon Graham, and Marc-Andre Fleury. Now, I know Marc-Andre Fleury has been one of the most respected goaltenders in the entire NHL, and I love Fleury himself. I know for a fact that he can help build a culture around the team, and his smile is always infectious, no matter where it is, and I say that as a compliment. Brandon Graham, he went out on top as a champion. John Cena, listen, I'm not a wrestling fan, but there's something that's slowly pulling me into wrestling. And people were disappointed about his last match.
Yeah.
But sometimes in wrestling, you're supposed to lose your last match.
Yeah.
Yep. And Clayton Kershaw, excellent. It's been excellent throughout his whole career. In his final season, he was a key contributor to the Dodgers in a minimalized role. He wanted to have one last run at it and go out on top. That he did. But this one was the toughest one for me. I've been going back and forth between Kershaw and Cena. But at the end of the day, the best send-off goes to, from the WWE, John Cena.
Honestly, I like that pick a lot. Honestly, that was, I feel like, the talk of the wrestling world. That was John Cena's last year, and I feel like it was very poetic. Like, that whole tour was him doing things that he never got to do, and that's why I feel like made it so uplifting to see the tour.
Thanks
And
for
apparently
backing
he
me
will
up
never
on
wrestle
that.
again. Apparently he's got Pacemaker, and he's also got the rebranded Wipeout.
Oh yeah, the rebranded Wipeout. I've heard about that.
I remember Wipeout back in the day. It was such a fun show.
It was.
Honestly, if I went on there, I'd probably do really bad, but
Everyone would lose at the big balls. Everyone would lose.
Dude, the big balls would be that. Those are classic.
Yeah,
it's my favorite obstacle. Also, the thing that goes like there's a hand here and a hand down there.
yeah.
You get hit from up high or down low, and you'd still go.
Oh, like the boxing glove thing?
No, there's that one. I'm talking about the one where it's like there's a hand here and a hand there, and it spins around, and you can get hit.
Oh,
up,
yeah. I
down,
know. That's like the second
that
round.
one.
That's when you get to the second round. Yeah.
That's when you
Yeah.
get the second round.
Yeah.
But like that's one of my favorite obstacles. Anyway,
I truck big balls in my sleep.
Pause. Pause. We got to 4K with that one.
Whoa.
Pause.
Didn't said a word about these awards, but he could say something about big balls, huh?
Dude, pause, John. Time out. Time out, dude.
and we've officially
That's
eclipsed 2
pause
hours.
moment, John Welch.
Dude. You
Anyway,
instantly
we have-
won sus moment of the year, John.
Oh wait,
That's-
just wait.
that's-
Oh, hang on. Wait. What am I missing? Big balls.
Yep.
No, you're
That is
missing
definitely the
you're
sus
missing
moment
bare
of the
balls
year.
and mac and cheese.
Oh, that's
Come on.
Definitely need some bear balls in my mouth.
Hey, yo.
okay.
Hey.
Now we're just
Officer.
we're off the rails
that's him.
now.
Okay,
Oh,
now
yeah.
we're really going off the rails. All right. Anyway, we have one more category left, and that is best sports personality. The nominees are David Portnoy, Mike Greenberg, Pat McAfee, and Stephen A. Smith. And the award goes to Pat McAfee, without a shadow of a doubt, because that man is as charismatic as can be. He brings so much energy to the College Game Day crew. His podcast is awesome. I can watch that for 3 hours easily. And overall, like he's good with WWE, he's good with ESPN. Like you put him wherever you want to put him, and he's just awesome. He does his job amazingly well. So that will do. Wait a minute. I have one more category. Best overall moment on this show. Now, we all have to be unanimous on this one. And they don't know what's going to happen. The nominees for best moment on this show are as follows.
They are doing what happened in Germany before Hitler took over, where they're taking money out of their pocket and throwing it in the fire just to stay warm this winter.
That was John Welch's fresh powder fry on the Cleveland Browns. Next one.
No way.
No, stop
No
faking.
Hold on.
way.
Stop faking. Oh yeah, that's liver and onions.
That's onions.
Liver and sauteed onions.
Yeah, I could just
Forget sauteed. These aren't even sauteed onions. These are the onions of the devil.
That was Alec during the Bean Boozled punishment. Next nominee is this.
have your piece. This is the fresh founder fund, by the way, so you can say whatever you want.
Okay. I have had enough of this Yankees team this season. This is not 2023. It's not 2023. We're better than 2023, but it's starting to look like it because the Yankees are just not playing like themselves. They have lost now. They've had 2 6-game losing streaks. The first time they did it was literally like less than a month ago, where the pitching was so good and the offense was very bad. Now they have a 6-game losing streak now where the hitting's good, but the pitching is bad. It's like, pick one, because I cannot take any more of this team. I don't know what the exact number is with our runners in scoring position. It's got to be like 5 for like 80 something. It's so bad. We're hitting like 110 or something with runners in scoring position. Get Anthony Volpe off of my team, please. I don't care if he's like 24 years old. I don't care if it's only his 3rd season. He had his Gold Glove award in his rookie season. He's fallen off a cliff since. Get him off my team. He's left.
That was
I
Kevin.
still want him off
during-
my team.
They still want him on my team too. And as a surprise nominee, we got this.
I'll take that to no then. Oh. Oh. No. Oh no.
Matt, what was that, lap 3? So you got one more to go?
Well, one more.
One more to go. One more to go?
Oh
Finish
my
strong.
gosh.
Finish strong.
I'm not throwing up.
Finish
Please.
strong. 28. Remember, 28.
Number 28.
Oh,
It's raining now, I feel it.
I told you. It's raining.
But not bad. Oh.
I mean,
Oh. Now it may be coming
This
down.
final lap, it's raining.
It'll just feel better with like the rain coming down.
Yeah.
I mean, a little victory lap.
Mm-hmm.
Sammy, don't post this on your socials.
That was me running the beer mile. I've tried to keep that hidden, but I feel like that was a good time to at least let part of that out. If you want the full thing, forget about it. You ain't getting it. That's between the four of us.
Still can't talk right after all that.
Anyway, we have to be unanimous as a group. What moment stands out the most?
It's got to be the beer mile for me.
Alec, you were there for that. Would you agree?
It's between that and Onions of the Devil.
Onions of the Devil was a good one. I know John was not there for the beer mile, but he was there for Onions of the Devil. John, where would you?
Yeah,
say with this?
I definitely Alex face is unforgettable.
Dude, I was looking like when I Show Speed was smiling right after my mom is kind of homeless. Dude.
All right.
What?
All right, no bias. I personally like the line that John said when describing the Browns.
That was hilarious. That was hilarious.
That was a really good one-liner from John.
Dude,
Yeah.
I wasn't there for that, but that was hilarious.
Oh my god, you had to see the whole thing.
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
I forgot Alec missed that.
Yeah, it was Jake Cardinelli was there for Alec.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god. Honest to God, I'd probably say the best moment was Alex being boozled. That's my opinion.
Oh,
Yep.
dude.
That's
I
fair.
agree.
I like that too.
So Alex being
by the
boozled
way-
won the whole thing.
Which, by the
Best
way,
overall moment.
John still has to do his Bean Boozle punishment.
Yes!
Pulling it
Yes!
off.
Oh my.
You think I have forgotten about that?
I
have you,
haven't
John?
forgotten either, John.
But
Yes.
this is the final show of the year, so
It's
now
still
we're going to
here.
put it out there.
It's still
There we
here.
There we
It's so
go.
But in
There
all
we go.
seriousness, John, you gotta do your punishment.
Yeah.
This is because you lost the golf tournament, which you said you were gonna win, and you lost.
Dude, don't make me send this
Which
on
I
on a
won.
package to you.
Yeah, Kevin won the golf tournament. I was very surprised.
I don't even watch golf, and I won.
Neither do I. Well,
Oh.
not as much as the average person, but
Yeah, I'm not an avid golf fan either.
so John still has to do his bean boozled. But to conclude the show on a more positive note, this show started. Well, we really started doing shows together like in late 2024, and like I said, I didn't really appreciate it at the time because it was like fairly new. Now that I finally got a full year with these three amazing men by my side, I appreciate it so much more. And I'm very sentimental about everything. Like that's why I put up those 4 clips for moment of the year, just because I was sentimental about it. I wanted to reflect on the good times. Like while we are a sports show, we genuinely love to have fun, and I think those 4 moments are just a small sample of of how much fun we've had on this show. And honorable mentions:
Absolutely.
Marcus Stewart, once upon a time, that was a thing, and also just like we've had fun with our guests on the show, like my cousin Ryan, Lily Schumacher, Jake Cardinelli, Randy Couray. The list goes on. And I think the amazing thing is 2025, I've said, was a year of great things for me, not just with this show, but with my life. 2025 was a great year. 2026 is all about expanding. That's how I see this year as it being. And I think having these 3 men by my side, I couldn't pick a more better group. And I gotta give a shout out to David Smith Armchair on the Armchair of Discord, who basically told me point blank, you have the 3 best people with you to do Foursquare Sports with. He said those exact words. And while we are all from different parts of the country, we all have our own chat. We all share the same messages amongst each other. We all get the Talercios videos every now and then because John started this whole thing. But it everything happens for a reason, and sometimes in life you just gotta go with the flow and just enjoy it because life's too short and you never know when it can be taken away from you. And I know we're well over 2 hours, but I just had to say my little piece. Kevin, is there anything you want to say about everything that's happened so far this year as far as the show goes?
I mean, yeah, you pretty much touched on it. I mean, like I didn't know what I was getting into when I was like doing the show with you guys, with you three, but like after the course of like a year plus of doing the show with you guys, and now a full year of doing this in 2025, I mean, I can say I think I made the right choice because every single Saturday night, we used to do it on Fridays, on a different name, but now it's every Saturday. It's just something I look forward to every single week, and I like getting my like feelings about like certain sports topics about every week. And it's been like, if I've had some good moments, some bad moments, and you see my rants all the time, and that being one of the nominees for the year, and like they're going to continue, of course, because like I have some stuff to say about my teams, but like that, I digress. Like you guys three have been awesome people to not only just like be on work on the show with, but also like, you know, behind the scenes, all off there. Like you guys are like three amazing people and great friends to have. So I couldn't have asked for a great three guys to have to do the show for. So my same sentiments.
Thanks, buddy. That means a lot. Alec?
Oh man, what a journey this year has been. Thanks for everything, everyone. Thanks for everything. And I mean, really, in a year that's been full of where do I want to go in life? Because 2025, I've been in and out of everything, of course, with all of this. I've been trying to find myself of where I want to go with in the future. This is one of those keys towards that future, and I can't. And I'm very happy to have you three along for the ride here on Foursquare Sports. Here's to 2026, and here's to more years.
All right, John.
There's 4 different personalities from 4 different parts of the world, and we somehow come together and make it work when we talk about sports. The camaraderie, the laughter, the guarantees, the call your shots. Sports is one of the things that gets humanity excited, and I'm excited to come in and talk about it every week with you guys. So here's to another year going forward. I wish each and every one of you a happy new year. Eventually we actually have to meet in person and do a show all in the same room.
Yeah,
hey,
I would love
absolutely.
that. I would love that a
Love
lot.
that.
I would love that a lot. Now we also got to give a shout out to MyCamp Solutions and Octagon Payments. I would love to play we'll play the video right now. MyCamp Solutions and Octagon Payments is a wholesale credit card company that gives you amazing processing rates without signing a long-term contract. Located in Arizona. The guy, Ryan, I forget his last name, but his Instagram is guacamole is delicious. Not even joking. But he's a great man. I got to meet him this year, and he loves his company. And if you want a little sample of what they're about, take a listen to this.
Hey, I'm Matt Sirianni, and I'm a quarter of Foursquare Sports. And if you don't know me by now, I'm all about Octagon Payments and MyCamp Solutions. MyCamp Solutions is the only wholesale credit card company that will give you amazing processing rates without signing a long-term contract. And along with outstanding customer service, this company is a betting favorite against anyone you put in front of them. So sign up today. Go to www.mycampsolutions.com or www.octagonpayments.com and apply now. MyCamp Solutions. It's a first-round knockout.
good athlete watching that. Every time I see that, I'm like, wow, I'm in really good shape than I thought I was. But one last thing before we sign off and we get Christopher Mad Dog Russo to sign us off. Thank you to KIXP The Island Experience for allowing us to do our show with them. That's the number one thing I will say. Because when John hooked us up with that gig, my jaw almost hit the floor. I couldn't believe it. And that means a lot. And so is everything we've done, like DAS Technology Consulting. Talaris says I'm going to expand on that. I got to try another Scattered Boo Thanks sandwich, but I think I got to talk to them. Because they like what we do. And I think it's appropriate. So, anyways, for Matt Sirianni, Kevin, those folks, I'm down with John Walsh. God bless you all. Happy New Year. And we will see you next year. This has been Four Square Sports, which is sports at its core. Take care, everybody. Happy New Year. And we'll see you soon.
Hi, everybody. Christopher Mad Dog Russo here. And you know what I do? Four Square Sports on Sunday nights, 6 to 8, with all those parts of the country taken care of. Listen all the time. You got it. Mad Dog on Mad Dog Unleashed. Listen to my guys. Listen to my guys.